Hello everyone and welcome to Midlife Crisis, the show where I talk about every major DC crossover event in chronological order. This week, we are going to be covering the Countdown tie-in miniseries, The Search for Ray Palmer. Unlike the other miniseries that tie into Countdown, this one is fully made up of one-shots, so it can be read in any order, and each one is written by a different writing team and art team. The premise of The Search of Ray Palmer is pretty straightforward. The multiverse is in danger, and the Monitors believe that the only one who is capable of saving the multiverse is Ray Palmer, aka the Atom. But at the end of Identity Crisis, Ray went missing, and so one of the Monitors, whose name is Bob, has recruited Donna Troy, Jason Todd, and Kyle Rayner to help him travel around the multiverse and find Ray Palmer, because Ray is apparently traveling around the multiverse for some reason. The reason why Donna Troy and Jason Todd are specifically chosen for this is because they are characters with many continuity issues. They're not supposed to exist. And one of the evil Monitors is trying to destroy them for that reason. So Bob the Monitor recruited them, believing that they would be able to help him. And the reason Kyle Rayner is there is for pure coincidence. They say that he's not supposed to exist, but the real reason he's in this book is because he's had a relationship with Donna Troy in the past, and they want to do some kind of love triangle between her, Jason, and Kyle. So without further ado, let's get straight into The Search for Ray Palmer. Written by Sean McKeever with art by Jamal Igle and Rob Hunter. Our first one-shot is the Crime Society one-shot, which takes place on Earth 3. On this Earth, there is a heroic version of the Joker who is called the Jokester. In the main Countdown event, Kyle Rayner, Donna Troy, and Jason Todd all came to Earth 3 and fought alongside the Jokester against the Crime Society, who were made up of Owlman, Ultraman, Superwoman, Power Ring, and Johnny Quick. While they are all fighting, the Jokester begins to talk about his backstory. So, originally, he was just a regular comedian whose name is Jackie. He's met up with a friend of his named Mikey, and they're discussing how to give Jackie more material or something that can help boost his career. And while they're talking, Jackie mentions the fact that throughout his life, he's been trodden on by people around him. He's been bullied heavily. He's been abused, until one day when he met a woman named Evelyn Dent. They immediately fell head over heels for each other and eventually slept together. And then, at a certain point, the two of them went their separate ways. Mikey says that Jackie needs some kind of shtick, and that's when Owlman crashes through the nearby window because Mikey owes him money. So he shows up and he tortures Mikey right in front of Jackie. Jackie doesn't really do anything except look at Owlman, and this inspires him to make a career off of making fun of Owlman. He goes up on stage and he tells all sorts of Owlman jokes, and this helps him become a celebrity. He becomes really famous off of this. He gains an assistant whose name is Harleen Quinzel. One day, they're just coming back from one of his shows. They're about to get into his limousine, and Harleen gets pulled into the limousine, killed off panel, and when Jackie goes to see if she's okay, her dead body gets thrown at him because she was killed by Owlman, who emerges from the limousine and starts beating the crap out of Jackie, saying, "Oh, you think it's great? All these jokes? You think it's just a big joke? You think it's funny making fun of me?" Answer me something, you pathetic little weasel, you sad little jokester. Who's laughing now? And he pulls out one of his owl rings and messes up Jackie's face off panel. Jackie wakes up in the hospital and sees the news report of Harleen's death and the fact that Owlman got away with it. He's got bandages all over his face. He starts laughing and he rips off the bandages and begins laughing maniacally because this has thrown him over the edge. And that's when it's revealed that for some reason, when he got facial reconstructive surgery, he now looks like the jokester. Not the Joker, the jokester. He looks kind of like the Joker, but different. He's got purple hair instead of green hair. His hair is long as well. But he's still got that iconic white skin with red lips. It just makes you wonder, why does he look like this? Why did the doctors make him look like this? You know, with the original Joker, when they were doing that one story where his origin was getting facial reconstructive surgery and it went wrong, that was him doing it to try and create a new identity, and he made a mistake. This is actual professional doctors doing it to him, so it just doesn't make sense why he would end up looking like this, especially the purple hair. The purple hair makes no sense at all. It's like they screwed up his face, and then they were like, oh, let's give him purple hair to match the skin. Adopting his new identity as the jokester, Jackie decides to make it his life goal to mess with Owlman and ruin Owlman's life. And not just Owlman's, but also his kid sidekick, Talon, who was supposed to be an evil version of Robin. He spends years messing with Talon and Owlman, and there's a panel where we get to see all of these different recreations of classic Batman covers, but this time it's Owlman, Jokester, and Talon, which I think is really fun. It's also one of those funny situations where you're rooting for the jokester this time, because the person whose life he's messing with is someone as evil as Owlman. One day, as per usual, Jokester is getting the shit beaten out of him by Owlman when an explosion sets off near Owlman's face, which causes him to flee. Turns out the explosion was caused by the Riddler, who has his Riddler family, which I found hilarious. It's like the Bat family, but the supervillains, or the characters that are normally supervillains. It's made up of the Riddler, Three-Face, and Harlequin. They are here to recruit the Jokester into their family, and Three-Face laughs, and Jokester recognizes the laugh as Eve's laugh. So he comes at her, and then it's revealed that Three-Face is Eve, but Eve is just one of her personalities. She's like, yeah, Eve got pregnant by a lunatic like you, but like there's two of us that don't like you at all. And then it's revealed that the Harlequin standing behind them is Duella Dent, Jokester and Three-Face's daughter. At this point in time, she's known as the Riddler's daughter, but she quickly changes her name to Joker's daughter when she meets the Jokester and finds out that he is her father. But he's like, my name isn't Joker, I'm the Jokester. She's like, are you sure? Could have sworn I knew this guy called Joker. Because what they establish in this is Duella Dent in the comic books originally came from Earth 1. She was a member of the Teen Titans back in the 60s and 70s. And then it was retconned that she came from a different Earth, which was Earth 3. But this book tries to make everything canon, where she comes from Earth 3, but there are moments where she's blipped to Earth 1. It's like she lives between both Earths without realizing it. Where she's like, oh, I could have sworn my boyfriend told me that I sometimes go by the name Harlequin, but here I go by the name Joker's daughter. It's really confusing. Jokester joins the Riddler family, and they spend time together taking down Owlman, and time together just hanging out at their crib. And one day, Harlequin decides that she is going to introduce them to her boyfriend for the first time. And it's revealed that her boyfriend is Talon, which makes the Jokester so mad that he tells her that she is not his daughter anymore if she goes off of Talon. And that upsets her, and so her and Talon head off together. Things only get worse for Jokester when the Crime Society attacks the Riddler family's base immediately after, killing the Riddler and Three-Face as well. So now the Jokester has nobody. And not long after this is when he comes across Kyle Rayner, Jason Todd, and Donna Troy. So we cut back to the present where he's fighting with them. The Monitor opens up a wormhole for them to travel through to another multiverse. They escape through it, and the Jokester follows them. And if you want to find out what happens to them, you'll have to watch my countdown videos where I cover the aftermath of this, because it happens in Countdown and not in this. As the Crime Society head home, it is revealed that Evelyn Dent, aka Three-Face, is still alive, and she's replaced the arm that she lost with a robot arm. The Jokester doesn't know that she's still alive. In the narration, he says that he has no reason to come back to Earth 3, and if you know what happens to him, this will never get resolved, sadly. And that's the end of the Crime Society one-shot. The next one-shot is Red Rain, written by Peter Johnson with art by Kelly Jones, Eric Battle, Angel Unzueta, Derek Fridols, Vicente Cifuentes, and Jonathan Glapion. This one-shot takes place on Earth 43, which is where the Red Rain miniseries takes place, and on this Earth, Gotham City is infested with vampires, and Batman is a vampire. So the Ray Palmer Rescue Squad arrive on this Earth, and they hear that there is a vampire hunter in the city, and Donna assumes that this vampire hunter might be Ray Palmer or might lead her to Ray Palmer, so she immediately leaves to go and search for this vampire hunter. Meanwhile, the Dick Grayson and Barbara Gordon of this Earth meet up, and Barbara had a run-in with Batman, and she refuses to open up to Dick about what happened. So they decide to head outside, where she leads Dick into an alleyway and tries to attack him because she's been turned into a vampire by Batman. This is when it's revealed that Dick is a vampire hunter, and he stabs Barbara with a stake reluctantly. He didn't want to have to do this because he likes Barbara, but he has no choice because he hates vampires. The reason why he hates vampires so much is because Batman was the one who killed his parents. It's a pretty grim flip on Dick Grayson's origins. Donna happens to fly by just as Dick is killing Barbara, and he thinks that it's Batman, so he runs away. And so Donna just finds Barbara's body, doesn't know she's a vampire right away, and thinks that she's just been murdered by somebody. She checks Barbara's wrist and sees that Ray Palmer's symbol is on it, so she comes to the assumption that Ray Palmer may have been the one that killed her, or had something to do with it. Bob, Kyle, and Jason arrive, and that's when they discover that this Barbara Gordon is a vampire, and so they decide to split their group up because apparently vampires have been attacking homeless people. So Jason and Kyle are going to go to the homeless shelter to see if they can find any clues, while the Monitor and Donna head to a place called Drer & Co. to see if they can find any clues. The reason why they're going to this place called Drer & Co. is because it was written on the stake that Barbara was stabbed with. Jason and Kyle head to the homeless shelter, where they bicker a whole bunch and then get attacked by homeless vampires. One of them bites Kyle, but he knocks it off of him. Meanwhile, at Drer & Co., Monitor and Donna find a piece of paper, an invoice, with the initials DG on it, and that was the customer who bought the steak, and there's also an address written on there as well. So they go to the address to see if they can find this DG. Kyle and Jason manage to escape the homeless vampires in time just before Batman arrives. Batman interrogates the homeless vampires and finds out that somebody is coming after him, and at this moment, Dick Grayson heads straight for Batman. He jumps off of a nearby building straight towards him. Donna and Bob head to the address of DG, where they discover photos of Batman, and they piece things together and figure out that whoever lives here is hunting down Batman. Dick Grayson follows Batman to his Batcave, where he finds him asleep. He goes to stab Batman with a stake, but that's when Donna, Kyle, Jason, and Bob ruin it by smashing their way through the Batcave. Try to stop Dick from killing Batman because they say, like, this isn't you, this isn't the kind of thing that you would do. Batman wakes up and eggs Dick on to kill him. Dick's like, you took my parents away from me and now I'm gonna make you pay. And Batman's like, yes, as mine were taken from me, I remember. So do it if you have the strength. If you truly know what it is you are to become. And Dick refuses to kill him. And I like how during some of these panels, Dick is drawn specifically, there's shadows around his eyes to make it look like he's wearing a mask. It's like he's wearing the Robin mask. This is done on purpose. I'm 100% sure that this shading was done this way on purpose. He refuses to kill Batman. Batman lunges at him and bites him in the shoulder. And Donna and Kyle and Jason don't do anything about it because they believe that if they get involved, it'll cause all sorts of problems. Even though they already did get involved, the reason this even happened in the first place is because they broke into the Batcave and tried to stop Dick. Like, if they hadn't have done that, he probably would have killed Batman. But it's because of them that Batman was even able to wake up and stop Dick. Batman flies away with Dick's body, and Jason, Donna, Kyle, and Bob decide to head off to the next Earth and search for Ray Palmer, where they question what will happen to the Dick Grayson of this Earth. And it's revealed that the Dick Grayson of this Earth becomes the Robin of this Earth, a vampire Robin alongside vampire Batman. My search is over. We are as we were meant to be, bound by death, creatures of the night, together, forever. So a pretty grim ending for Dick Grayson, and just a grim timeline for Batman in general. The next one-shot is Gotham by Gaslight, written by Brian Augustine, with art by Greg Tacchini, Jesse Delpadang, Derek Fridolf, and Paul Neary. The Ray Palmer Rescue Squad end up on Earth 19, which is an Earth that is stuck in the Victorian era. When they arrived on this Earth, they all got split up. Somehow, the energy dispersed them across the entire Earth. Jason ended up on one of those old Victorian ships. He references Moby Dick, so maybe he just ended up living the events of Moby Dick. Donna, Kyle, and Bob the Monitor manage to find him, and they decide that they need to search for anyone who knows if Ray Palmer came to this Earth. And at the same time, they argue with each other, because that's a lot of this. Jason, Kyle, and Donna arguing with each other. Meanwhile, the Batman of Earth 19 saves a woman from a giant bat creature, similar to Man-Bat. You would assume that this is an alternate version of Man-Bat. And then a mysterious figure comes towards Batman and is some kind of ally. We don't get to see who it is, but he's an ally of Batman. They're going to work together to figure out this Man-Bat problem. One thing I like about this one-shot is that Kyle, Donna, Jason, and Bob the Monitor all dress up in Victorian garb while they're spending time in this era of Gotham City. It's really funny seeing Bob the Monitor wearing a Sherlock Holmes-inspired outfit. They don't wear it for very long, but while they're wearing it, it's just a cool part of the book. I'm hoping some of the other one-shots do a similar thing. Jason sees Bruce Wayne, this version of Bruce Wayne, and tries to get his attention, but fails. Bruce Wayne goes and meets with his friend, Dan Garrett, who on the main Earth is the original Blue Beetle. They've come to meet with Kirk Langstrom to ask him about these Man-Bats, and Kirk Langstrom tells them that it's all poppycock because there's no such thing as giant bats. It's just illusions or people being hysterical. But Bruce is 100% sure that what he saw was real, so he's not going to give up on trying to figure this out, and Dan says that he's ready to join him. While they are looking for Ray Palmer's whereabouts using locators, Jason hears a scream and heads off to find a group of women who are all being attacked by one of the man-bat creatures. So he attacks it, but isn't doing very well, and that's when Batman shows up and fights alongside him. There's a moment where they look at each other, kind of a surreal moment for both of them. Then the man-bat breaks it up. As it's about to attack them, it gets hit by a bunch of blue fire, and that's when Blue Beetle shows up. And this is Dan Garrett. Dan Garrett is Blue Beetle on this Earth, and he uses Scarab technology. Dan reveals that he has met Ray Palmer, but Ray Palmer moved on very quickly. He was here to ask people for help in what he says is a coming crisis. That there is going to be a crisis that involves multiple worlds, and that Ray Palmer is trying to get as much help as he can and as much info as he can to try and stop it. And that's why he's traveling the multiverse. Batman asks if this bat demon or man-bat thing has anything to do with Ray Palmer, and Kyle suggests that maybe something followed them to this Earth after they visited the vampire Earth. And then Jason says, or was one of us changed by those freaks? They decide to wait till nighttime, because that's when the man-bats normally show up so they can take care of them once and for all. Nighttime rolls around, the man-bats show up in a massive horde, and all attack them, so they fight back against these man-bats, but they realize that the man-bats are going after Kyle, and Kyle starts freaking out, and they all enter Kyle's body and transform him into a bat demon looking version of Kyle. So it seems like the vampire bite affected the ring instead of him and created all these bat constructs. I don't know, it doesn't make much sense even for a comic book. While the other characters restrain Kyle, Blue Beetle uses his Scarab technology to do some kind of exorcism against Kyle, which purges the vampire demons from his ring, freeing him. And so everything goes back to normal. That's when he decides to tell them what happened to him about getting bitten by a vampire and all that. And so they decide to head off to the next Earth to find Ray Palmer and continue their quest. And Batman turns to Blue Beetle and says, "Traveling to countless other worlds? What must that be like?" And Blue Beetle says, "I might find out soon enough. Perhaps we ought to accelerate my training, just in case." Which feels like some weird hint that this Blue Beetle is going to be involved in some kind of multiversal story in the future. I don't know if that ever plays out, but it'd be cool if it did. The next one-shot that we're talking about is Red Sun, written by Alan Burnett, with art by Travel Foreman and Lorenzo Ruggiero. And this is the first one-shot I've read so far where I feel the art is really bad. Just look at this art, it's not good. But we're not here to talk about the art, we're here to talk about the story. And in this issue, our team find themselves on Earth 30, which comes from the miniseries Superman Red Sun, wherein that Superman landed in Russia instead of Kansas and became the Superman of Russia. At this point in time, this version of Superman is the president of Russia, and the way he rules Russia is with an iron fist. He's a pretty terrible leader. He's helped a lot of people, but in doing so, he's also hurt a lot of people as well. But he prefers to only talk about the positives that he's done and not the negatives. Because of that, a lot of people have begun standing up to him, and what Superman does with those people is he takes them away to a facility and gives them these devices on their heads that he can use to control them. But he's not doing it alone, he's doing it with the help of this Earth's version of Brainiac, who had shrunk Superman's home city, Stalingrad, and is keeping it, and Superman wants to do anything to get his city back to normal size again, and in order to do that, he has to work with Brainiac. Brainiac is the one that came up with the idea to control people with devices, and Superman is going along with it. When they arrive on this Earth, Donna Troy and Jason Todd decide to explore the facility where all these people are being kept, and when they enter there, they find Ray Palmer, but it's not their version of Ray Palmer, it's the version of Ray Palmer from this Earth. And they don't just find him, they also find the Batman of this Earth. This version of Batman is a rebel, he is an enemy of Superman, and he works alongside Lex Luthor, who is still American, and he and Superman are still enemies. This version of Ray Palmer is an ally of Batman, and what Batman would do is he would send Ray into the government facilities to steal KGB files and things like that for him. But one day, he got caught by Superman and Brainiac and taken away, and they were going to fix a device to him, but Batman has arrived just in time to stop them from doing it, but at the same time, Jason and Donna arrive, and the three of them escape from the facility together once they realize they're all on the same side. But their troubles aren't over because Superman chases after them, so the whole group has to get away from Superman. Donna tries to fight him, but he proves to be too powerful for her, and that's when this Earth's version of Wonder Woman shows up. This version of Wonder Woman works alongside Superman and is a bad person. She fights Donna Troy and knocks her out, and Donna Troy gets captured by Superman and Wonder Woman while her friends get away with Batman and Ray to figure out what they're gonna do now. Batman reveals to Ray that he has a bomb in his side that'll play a role in their plan to save Donna Troy and stop Superman and Wonder Woman once and for all. Meanwhile, Superman and Wonder Woman plan on attaching a device to Donna Troy to take over her body. And Donna Troy tells Wonder Woman how disgusted she is with her, how she is nothing like the Diana that she knows, and that she seems to be in love with this version of Superman, which is even worse. Superman and Wonder Woman meet up for a moment to have a little bit of a conversation. They decide to go their separate ways. They'll meet up again later. But as Wonder Woman leaves, her lasso gets taken from her by the Atom, who had shrunken down. And at the same time, on a nearby tower, Batman is there, and he has a grappling hook, or it's a batarang with a rope on it, and he throws it at Wonder Woman, tying her up and pulling her to the ground, and so they've managed to capture her. Use her as bait for Superman. Brainiac prepares to attach a device to Donna Troy's neck, but Kyle Rayner shows up just in time. Brainiac thinks that he can take down Kyle Rayner by using yellow against him because he knows about Green Lantern's weaknesses. But what he doesn't realize is that Kyle Rayner doesn't have a weakness to yellow anymore, and so Kyle is able to easily defeat him and rip his head off. Superman heads to Batman and Wonder Woman's location to save Wonder Woman, where it's revealed that Batman has built a device that has the same power as a red sun, which weakens this version of Superman. So Batman is able to punch him in the face and then throw him into a basement and lock him in there in hopes of keeping him hostage. Wonder Woman rips apart her lasso to break free, and Donna Troy says that this is terrible because the lasso is directly tied to Wonder Woman's life force. She tries to stop her but fails, and we see this version of Wonder Woman pick up a giant piece of something. I can't really tell what it is, but she throws it at Donna Troy, and then that's the last time we see Wonder Woman for a while. Superman breaks out of the basement, and Kyle tries to restrain him, but fails because Superman is too powerful. He then does a clap that's strong enough to send the monitor flying. He then meets Batman face to face, where he says that he's going to put an end to Batman's misdeeds for once and for all, but Batman sets off the explosive that's in his chest in an attempt to kill Superman, and at the same time, Ray tries to stop Batman from doing it, and the explosion catches all three of them in it, and that's when Bob the Monitor, Kyle Rayner, Jason Todd, and Donna Troy all wake up later, and it's revealed that Batman has died, and Ray Palmer is supposedly dead as well. This version of Superman believes that they're both dead. Superman is going to fix devices to them, but then it's revealed that Ray Palmer is still alive, albeit heavily scarred, and he is currently in Stalingrad, the shrunken down city. And he tells Superman to let his friends go and give them back all their gadgets so they can leave, otherwise he will grow big while in Stalingrad and destroy everything. So Superman reluctantly lets them go, and he heads back to go and look after Wonder Woman, who has aged rapidly because she destroyed her own lasso. So she's an old woman now, because the lasso had her life force connected to it. So once you destroy it, you lose your immortality and you age rapidly, it seems. And that's where it ends. The next one shot we are talking about is Superwoman and Batwoman, written by Justin Gray and Jimmy Palmiotti, with art by Kalman Andrasovsky, Jeremy Horn, David Hahn, David Baldian, and Steve Bird. This is probably the worst one-shot of all of them for a very specific reason. It's just nothing. There's not really anything interesting about this one-shot at all, except for one thing, and that is the gimmick of this Earth, which is that everything is gender-swapped. It takes place on Earth 11, everything is gender-swapped, and that's pretty much the only difference between this Earth and the main one, because all of the stories are exactly the same. There is one small difference where Amazon's attack happens in this, but unlike the original version, Wonder Man, who is the Wonder Woman of this Earth, is the leader of the army that attacks America because he has testosterone, and so that makes him more emotional. So he leads the attack. That's the only real difference between this Earth and the main one. And it just means that this Earth has an even worse version of Amazon's attack than the main universe, which is hard to believe, that they somehow made Amazon's attack even worse. Once you get past the gimmick of the gender swap on this Earth, there's nothing interesting. The plot is as basic as it could possibly get. Wonder Man attacks America, and Superwoman and Batwoman bring the Justice League together to fight Wonder Man. They also get the Freedom Fighters in on it, this Earth's version of them, and they all fight Wonder Man. And at one point, Wonder Man summons a bunch of gods, so they have to fight those as well. But that's basically the entire story, is just the Justice League, like all the superheroes fighting Wonder Man. You know, here's a few images of them fighting Wonder Man, because that's all that happens in this entire story. And Superwoman beats Wonder Man by punching him real hard, sending him flying, and that's when Jason Todd, Kyle Rayner, and Donna Troy decide to intervene and talk to the heroes to find out where Ray Palmer is. They talk to this Earth's version of the Atom, and the Atom says that he was here, but now he's not, and so they decide to move on to the next Earth. And that's all that happens. That's all that happens that's worth talking about, because other than that, I would just be sitting here being like, oh, and then the female version of Green Arrow and Black Canary showed up, and they fought Wonder Man as well, and then the female version of The Flash showed up. Like, it's just nothing really worth discussing. The art's not even anything to write home about, because it's pretty bad. It's not as bad as the art in the last one-shot, but I don't like the art in this one either, so I can't even really talk about that in any kind of positive light. If there was any one-shot worth skipping, it's this one. Maybe open it up just to see what the gender-swapped versions of the characters look like, or use Google or something, but it's not worth reading this whole issue just for that. And the final one-shot that we are talking about today is the Wildstorm one-shot, which takes place on Earth 50 within the Wildstorm universe, which is a separate print from DC that features its own superheroes and supervillains. This is one of the hardest one-shots that I had to read because I know next to nothing about Wildstorm. Like, I know a couple of the names of some of the teams, but I wouldn't be able to tell you what the names of each individual member are. I could name maybe one member of the Wildcats and then a few members of the Authority. Those are the ones that I probably know the most, even though I haven't read any of their books. So while I was reading this, I was constantly having to bring up Google, like, who is this guy? Who is that person? Because they very rarely ever name anyone in this. It's almost like they assume you should just know who they are, because there's so many characters that show up in this and you're just supposed to know them. So I was like looking them up, like, which one of these? The story begins with a character named Surge, who is a speedster on this Earth. He is being chased by something or someone, but that doesn't matter right now because Donna Troy, Jason Todd, and Kyle Rayner and Bob the Monitor have all shown up on this Earth to search for Ray Palmer. Most of this issue is them searching for Ray and coming across other Wildstorm characters along the way. I didn't mean to make that rhyme, but it did. And there is one scene in particular that is completely different to whatever we've seen in the past one-shots that ties into a story that happened a while ago. One that I haven't even talked about because I didn't think it would be important since they've never brought it up. So, sometime before Countdown started, there was a mini-series called Ion. Or I guess you could call it a limited series because it was 12 issues long. And it starred Kyle Rayner after he had received the powers of Ion, so he was no longer a Green Lantern. He was a godlike being, and the series dealt with him dealing with his godlike powers. It ended with his mother dying, and at a certain point in the story, Monarch showed up and pulled Kyle aside and said, "Hey Kyle, a big multiversal war is coming, and I want your help." And then nothing came of that. Until now. Because Monarch shows up, he grabs Kyle, he pulls him into the bleed, and he says, "Hey Kyle, remember when I told you about that Multiversal War thing and how I'd need your help? I know I didn't talk to you about it in the main Countdown title, but I'm talking to you about it now. Because this is written by the same guy. It's written by Ron Mars, who also wrote the Ion series, so he's bringing that back, even though no one else has mentioned it. It's like, yeah, I'm gonna need your help during the Multiverse War. And Kyle's like, I don't know, I'm kind of busy doing something else right now. I'm searching for this guy named Ray Palmer, and he's kind of the key to saving the multiverse, so I'm sorry, Monarch, but I'm not gonna be able to help you. He's like, fine, just go, but it's not over, it's only just beginning. Kyle leaves, and he's like, words to live by, thanks. After that, we get to see the different characters interact with Wildstorm characters, so Kyle fights Stormwatch. By interact, I just mean they fight them. They fight Stormwatch, they fight Gen 13, or they don't fight Gen 13, they talk to Gen 13. Jason fights Grifter, who is from Wildcats and is one of the few characters whose name I know. There's a moment where Kyle is fighting against a group called Wetworks, but that's when he gets called by Donna to meet at a dock because they found that Surge character from the beginning of the story, and he's not in good condition. It seems like he's been beaten within an inch of his life. But it wasn't Donna that did it. She found him in this way. And that's when a character who I do know somewhat shows up. Midnighter. I feel like this is a character everybody knows. He shows up, he's a member of the Authority, and he kills Surge by knocking his head off. And so they obviously fight Midnighter because of that. Like, why the hell did you kill that guy? He may have known the whereabouts to Ray Palmer. While they are fighting Midnighter, the rest of the Authority show up, and so they have to fight them. They get into a big massive fight with Apollo and Jenny Sparks. I think this is supposed to be Jenny Sparks. Either that or it's Jenny Quantum. I tried looking it up, and I couldn't figure out which character this was supposed to be. The Mechanist is here, and Swift, and this guy, I'm pretty sure, is supposed to be Jack Hawksmoor. They all fight each other, and Apollo is about to beat the crap out of Kyle Rayner, but he is stopped by this guy named Mr. Majestic, who I know nothing about other than his name, because I had to look him up. He does refer to him as Majestic in this, but I wanted to look him up anyway. Majestic confirms everything that Kyle, Donna, and Jason are saying about the multiverse being in danger and them looking for Ray Palmer, so he suggests that the Authority let them go so that they can continue their job in searching for their friend. And so the Authority leaves, and so do Jason, Donna, Kyle, and Bob. They all leave to head off and continue their search for Ray Palmer. And the story ends with Dark Angel showing up, saying that she is in search of Donna, Jason, Kyle, and Bob. Will this play out in any way? Are we going to get any kind of continuation of this plotline? Probably not, but I guess we'll see when we eventually get back to Countdown. Yeah, Dark Angel's after them. Even though she was after Forerunner in that other miniseries I covered, Countdown to Adventure. Seems there's a history of Dark Angel showing up in these miniseries and not really doing anything. But I guess we'll see. And that's it for The Search of Ray Palmer. Just a nice miniseries of one-shots, not really connected together. There's a couple of mentions of other ones, so there is somewhat of an order to read them in, but it doesn't really matter overall. You can just read whatever ones you want to read. My favorite one-shot was probably the Gotham by Gaslight one, just because I like Victorian era stuff, and it was cool seeing a Victorian version of Blue Beetle, and the stuff with Kyle Rayner becoming a demon vampire lord was pretty cool. All the constructs of the man-bats that he had created was interesting. After that, the only one-shots I didn't really like were the Superwoman and Batwoman ones, and the Wildstorm one. The Wildstorm one less for the story and more for the fact that I'm just so unfamiliar with Wildstorm that I couldn't understand it very well. I didn't know who the characters were, and so that made it less of an enjoyable read for me. Like, if you're a big Wildstorm fan, you probably love this one. But for someone who hasn't read any of that, it's just a book full of characters who I don't know. And it doesn't help that they don't really introduce you to any of them, or give you a quick explanation as to who they are. Not even a little box next to them that says their name. Like, that would have been enough. So that's the end of this episode. This was the final mini-series tie-in to Countdown. So now that we're done with all of those, we're going back to Countdown. So the next episode is going to be Countdown Part 3, and then we'll do Countdown Part 4, and then we'll be done with Countdown. And after that, I'll be doing the Death of the New Gods miniseries, because that one takes place during Countdown, but ends after Countdown, so I thought I would do that last. So those are the next 3 videos that you have to look forward to in the future. I hope you enjoyed this one, and I'll see you then. Have a good one.